بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Dear brothers and sisters, we continue now with the remaining conditions of prayer and then the beginning of its pillars. So please pay close attention, because the author is moving from what must be believed and known before the prayer to what must actually be present within the prayer itself. التاسع أن يعتقد أن الصلاة المفروضة التي يصليها فرض. The ninth condition, that one firmly believes the obligatory prayer he is performing to be truly obligatory. Now the author turns from outward conditions to an inward condition connected to belief and intention. So this condition is connected to the heart and to correct understanding. The person must know that the prayer he is offering is not optional but obligatory. فمن اعتقدها سنة أو خلا قلبه عن العقيدتين أو تشكك في الفرضية لم تصح صلاته. Therefore, if he believes it to be merely a sunnah, or his heart is devoid of these two beliefs, or he doubts that his prayer or this prayer is obligatory, then his prayer is not valid. So it is not enough to perform the outward form of prayer. One must also hold the correct belief regarding its obligation. In other words, this shows us that the validity of prayer is not based on outward movements alone. Rather, correct belief regarding the prayer also matters. العاشر ألا يعتقد ركنا من أركانها سنة. The 10th condition is that he does not regard any pillar of the prayer as a sunnah. This means the person praying must correctly distinguish between what is essential in the prayer and what is not. In other words, he must distinguish properly between what is a pillar and what is merely recommended. فمن اعتقدها فروضا يعني اعتقد الأركان فروضا أو خلا قلبه عن العقيدتين أو تشكك في الفرضية يعني اعتقد أنها أركان لكن تشكك في كونها فرضا، أو اعتقد سنة من سنن الصلاة فرضا صحت صلاته. Thus, whoever believes the pillars of the prayer to be obligatory or farad, or his heart is devoid of these two beliefs, obligatory or sunnah, or he doubts about that the pillars of the prayer are obligatory or not, he believes they are pillars, or he considers a sunnah act of the prayer to be obligatory, then his prayer remains valid. So here the author is clarifying which mistakenly beliefs affect the validity of prayer and which do not. الحادي عشر اجتناب مبطلات الصلاة الآتية في جميع صلاته. The 11th condition is to avoid all the following invalidators of prayer throughout its entirety. In other words, the prayer must remain protected from the beginning to the end from anything that nullifies it. الثاني عشر معرفة كيفيتها بأن يعرف أعمالها وترتيبها كما يأتي. The 12th condition is to know how the prayer is performed, and that is to say, he must know its actions and their proper order, as will be explained. And with this, the author completes the 12 conditions of prayer and prepares us to move into the prayer itself. وأما أركان الصلاة فتسعة عشر. As for the pillars of the prayer, the arkan, they are 19. Now we move from the conditions which are outside the prayer to the pillars which are inside the prayer and form its essential structure. الأول النية بالقلب. The first pillar is the intention in the heart. So Niyyah is the first because every act of worship depends upon intention. فيحضر في قلبه فعل الصلاة ويعبر عنه بفرض. To clarify, the person brings to mind the act of prayer itself. This is referred to as intending the obligation. So the first thing present in the heart is the intention of performing the prayer itself. ويحضر فيه تعيينها, and he specifies which prayer is it. ويعبر عنه بالظهر أو العصر أو المغرب أو العشاء أو الصبح, such as ظهر, عصر, maghrib, isha or subh. So it is not enough to intend prayer in general. The specific prayer must also be identified. فإذا حضرت هذه الثلاثة في قلبه قال الله أكبر غير غافل عنها. Then when these three elements are present in his heart, he says Allahu Akbar without being heedless of them or without being unaware of them. This shows that the takbir must come together with the present intention, or while paying attention to them, not with heedlessness or distraction from it. ويزيد استحضار مأموما إن كان جماعة. And additionally, if he is praying in jama'ah, in congregation, he includes the intention of being a follower or ma'mun. So in congregational prayer there is one more detail added to the intention, and that is intending to follow the imam. In other words, if he is praying behind an imam, then this additional intention is also required. الثاني تكبيرة الإحرام وهي الله أكبر. The second pillar is the opening takbir, which is saying Allahu Akbar. So after the intention in the heart comes the first spoken pillar of the prayer, which is takbirat al-ihram. الثالث قراءة الفاتحة في القيام. The third pillar is the recitation of the Surah Al-Fatiha while standing. After entering the prayer with the takbir, the recitation of Al-Fatiha becomes the next essential prayer. الرابع القيام إن قدر ولو بحبل أو معين في صلاة الفرض. The fourth pillar is standing. If one is able, even if supported by a rope or assistant in obligatory prayer. This shows that standing in the obligatory prayer is required for the one who is able, even if he needs support. الخامس الركوع بأن ينحني من غير إرخاء ركبتيه. The fifth pillar is bowing, ruku', which is to incline the body without bending the knees loosely. After standing and recitation Al-Fatiha comes ruku', which is one of the great visible pillars of the prayer. السادس الطمأنينة فيه. The sixth pillar is remaining motionless at a moment therein. The author or the imam does not mention ruku' alone, but also stillness, the stillness or remaining motionless required within it. بأن تنفصل حركة رفعه وتسكن أعضاؤه كلها. That is to say, the movement of lowering and rising must be separate and distant and distinct, and all limbs, all the body parts become still. So the bowing must not be rushed, rather there must be a pause of stillness. In other words, after you bow, stop moving and keep your whole body still. This is a simple way of explaining طمأنينة. The body must come to rest. السابع الاعتدال. The seventh pillar is standing upright. اعتدال. After ruku', straightening back up after bowing. So, and after ruku' and it is stillness, the next pillar is to rise back up into اعتدال. بأن ينتصب قائما. And it is to stand upright, meaning he returns to an upright standing position. الثامن الطمأنينة فيه كما ذكرنا في الركوع. The eighth pillar is remaining motionless a moment therein. In this standing, just as mentioned in the ruku'. So just as stillness was required in ruku', it is also required here in i'tidal. التاسع السجود الأول. The ninth pillar is the first prostration, first sujood. After standing upright, the servant or the person moves to the lowest position, sujood, showing complete humility before Allah. بأن يضع جبهته مكشوفة على مصلاه متحاملا عليها قليلا على غير متحرك رافعا عجيزته وما حولها على منكبيه ويديه ورأسه. So to clarify, the one places the uncovered forehead firmly upon the place of prayer, applying a slight pressure. One should not prostrate on something that moves with his movement. Furthermore, he raises his lower body and its surrounding area above his shoulders, hands, and head. So the prostration or sujood must be firm, stable, and properly positioned, not careless or unstable. وبأن يضع جزءا من كل من ركبتيه ومن باطن كل كف ومن باطن أصابع كل رجل. And additionally, he must place part of each knee, the inner part of each palm, and the inner part of the toes of each foot on the ground. This shows that sujood is performed on multiple parts of the body, not just the forehead alone. العاشر الطمأنينة فيه كما ذكرنا في الركوع. The 10th pillar is remaining motionless a moment therein, in this prostration, in this sujood, just as previously explained in the ruku'. So once again, the Sheikh or Imam emphasizes the tuma'nina. So the prostration must include a moment of stillness. الحادي عشر الجلوس بين السجدتين بأن ينتصب قائما. The 11th pillar is sitting back between the two sujood, between the two prostrations, in an upright manner. After the first sujood, the person rises into a seated position, and this sitting itself is a pillar. الثاني عشر الطمأنينة فيه كما ذكرنا في الركوع. The 12th pillar is remaining motionless a moment therein, in this sitting, just as previously explained in the ruku'. So even the sitting must not be rushed, rather it must include a pause of stillness. الثالث عشر السجود الثاني مثل السجود الأول فيما مر فيه. The 13th pillar is the second prostration, second sujood, identical to the first sujood in all its requirements. Then the person returns again to sujood, repeating the same manner and conditions as the first sujood. الرابع عشر الطمأنينة فيه كما ذكرنا في الركوع. The 14th pillar is remaining motionless a moment therein, in this sujood, in this prostration, just as previously explained in the ruku'. And again, the stillness must be observed here as well, just like in all previous positions. الخامس عشر الجلوس الأخير منتصبا. The 15th pillar is the final sitting upright. After completing the units of prayer, the person sits for the final sitting, which is a distinct pillar. السادس عشر قراءة التشهد فيه. The 16th pillar is reciting the tashahud therein, in the final sitting. In this sitting, specific words must be recited, beginning with named at-tashahud, which is tashahud. السابع عشر الصلاة على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بعد التشهد في القعود. The 17th pillar is sending prayers or salat, blessing and peace upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam after the tashahud, in the final sitting. So after the tashahud, sending salat upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam becomes obligatory within the prayer. وأقلها اللهم صل على محمد. At minimum is, O Allah, send blessings upon Muhammad. And this is the minimum that fulfills this pillar. الثامن عشر السلام بعدها في القعود. The 18th pillar is the salam after the tashahud and salat ala nabi in the final sitting. Finally, the prayer is concluded with the salam. وأقله السلام عليكم. At the minimum is saying Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. And with this, the prayer comes to its completion, moving from intention to conclusion in a structured and precise manner. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.